out of first glance, I will say it does seem as if he has listened to some of the criticisms here, and you know, we love to see that. We love to see people grow on Only Jacks. So okay, so in Praise of Shadows, he's a guy, he does horror YouTube videos. So basically, he had done this video called Bad Conservative Horror Movies, where he spends like an hour talking about this one horror convention that he went to that he didn't really like for like whatever reason. Like Kevin Spacey was there and he took that personally. And then he spent another hour talking about how conservatives love to use AI and are stupid. And then he spent another 40 minutes talking about how Wendigoon, because he's a conservative, is a Nazi. There's about 3 hours of content that I just kind of paraphrased, but that's the important stuff. And after he got a ton of negative feedback from this, a bunch of other YouTubers that he called out came out to kind of say like, hey, what the man? He issued a Patreon apology, which I remember being pretty shit. And then in his Discord, he was like, oh man, this sucks. Like, do I ever come back from this, guys? And so it was a very two-faced type deal. So if this video here, if this might be an apology cop video, if you know, if it meets the criteria. So we'll see. My bias is I really don't like this guy. He's got a real holier than thou attitude about him. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, without further ado, Only Jax kind of looks like a janitor from some sort of sci-fi movie that finds a sample of alien juice, takes it home, then dies somehow. Thanks, man. I feel like with my mustache right now, I look too much like IPOS, which is, I don't like that.
Hi. I don't really know how to start this, so I guess I'm just gonna start talking, I guess. It's been a while. Hope you've been okay. I didn't want to really use a script for this video because anything that I say will be talked negatively about. And if I'd used a written response, I felt like people would be like, oh, he's just, you know, doing this for PR. You know, I didn't want it to feel like a statement that a politician would put out. I just wanted to be me talking to you, human to human. So apologies if this is a bit rambly. This is a little different for me. I was just gonna talk. And I guess I'll start with kind of a big piece of criticism was that like I just sort of disappeared. And I did that kind of for two reasons. One was that
No, there was, I don't know where he's getting the criticism about disappearing. The criticism I remember wasn't that you had disappeared, but it was that you had just taken you had done very little research on a bunch of big YouTubers who you don't seem to agree with politically. And then you had taken the very little research, criticized them for stuff that didn't even make sense. And then you issued an apology behind a paywall. Actively, it's interesting. And then you deleted the video. And then you kind of went away, but you didn't disappear. You were active in your Discord, actively trying to see like, hey guys, is there any coming back from this? So maybe he's talking about something else, but like, I didn't see any criticism about you disappearing. The criticism was, why would you call out all these people in the first place?
of course, like anything that I said wasn't going to help the situation that was happening. And so I just left. And
That's not true. Anything you said wouldn't have helped the situation. That's not true. I think some time to reflect, to figure out why what you had done was silly, and then came to the realization like, hey, you know what? You're right. I had you know, this preconceived notion of all these people who I was calling out, and it turns out that that was false. And so I would like to humbly apologize for putting out this hit piece. The facts and evidence presented were not legitimate, and I would like to move on from all this. And I think that would have been, I think that would have been the right plan. But unfortunately, that wasn't what you had done. Or a complete 180, be like, hey, you know what? This wasn't my usual content. I did a really bad job with all this. Sorry if I offended anyone. Sorry for what I got wrong. I'm going to go back to making videos about horror movies. I don't know. That's just me.
I didn't want to really talk about it, and this is the last time I'm ever going to publicly talk about the situation again. I just also felt that people would be kind of like annoyed if I like tried to like come back and start making things again and just pretend like nothing ever happened. I didn't want to do that. Also,
this is the official Only Jacks take. That would have been outside of issuing like a formal apology when it happened. I think the best course of action would have been to, yeah, come back and not say anything about it. That's the official Only Jacks take. You may not like the official Only Jacks take, but the longer you can go without addressing something, generally I would say the better. I just like, unless you're Cody Ko. I'm saying like from a purely like utilitarian perspective, the longer you can go without saying something when you've done something wrong, that's probably the better. You want to give people a chance to forget. In praise of poo poo, for real.
So, like, I don't really know how to make this video because the history of, like, YouTube apology videos is like a format that is consistently made fun of.
Here we go.
Good reason. And
Here we go.
Anti-apology at all. I'm not. It's just that, like, usually, like, someone who works on the internet will mess up and then, like, immediately will put out, like, an apology video and be like, I'm not that person anymore. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I've changed, guys. And it's complete bullshit. Everybody knows that it's bullshit because you're like, what do you mean you're not that person anymore? You just said that thing 2 days ago. Of course you're that person.
Okay, that's a W take from IPOS. I wasn't expecting to hear any good takes. That's solid. Let's see what he does with this.
And so, like, with my situation, I said I was going to be gone for a month. Clearly, I needed a break. I wasn't doing very well. And I ended up taking more than that because I wasn't ready to come back. And I really wanted to come back with something that showed what I could do. That showed that I would be willing to listen to criticism of me because I always am. I always want to do better. And so I hope that the John Waters video has kind of shown that. This was kind of a wake-up call moment.
Okay. So for everyone who doesn't know, he just released like a 5-hour video on John Waters, which, again, I still don't really like this guy. I'm probably never going to watch his content, like, legitimately, outside of maybe hate watching. His last upload 6 days ago, 6 hours. 6 hours of content. And it looks like he actually did put some, he did actually, increase his production value a little bit.
What kitsch means to me is an old man talking about Rita.
I hate how he talks. I hate the way he says talks. He pronounces the L in like ALK things. And the way he says American, he says American. I hate it. But it's whatever. But like, it seems as if he has taken the time
being flooded in the night. The purple
to like improve his content, improve the production value, whatnot. So out of first glance, I will say it does seem as if he has listened to some of the criticisms here. And we love to see that. We love to see people grow on Only Jacks. So
for me. So, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. And I guess one of the main things I wanted to talk about here is that, like, when you do anything in a very public way that isn't received particularly well, people are going to do two things, which is, like, ascribe a motive for why you did that thing and also wildly speculate about yourself to put attributes onto you, that often aren't true. And, I definitely am guilty of doing that in the past, even in the Bad Conservative Horror Movie video. So I kind of wanted to talk more about me here than other people, which is something I don't really do all that much.
Okay. At first glance, this is shaping up to be not what I thought, okay? I would like a win here. I like it when people do well. I like it when people grow and become better people. Also, what microphone is that? That thing looks sick.
One of the biggest things that has kind of always surprised me my whole career on YouTube is people thinking that I hate Christians. And I don't at all. I don't hate religious people at all. I myself am a Methodist.
Okay, this is interesting because it was shown in a lot of the videos that he had done, a lot of the videos of people talking about his last video. Like, it seems as if, and I watched the entire Bad Conservative Horror Movie video, it does seem as if he hates Christians because he'll always bring up, he definitely hates conservatives, and that's, one thing. But, for him, when he talks about it, it seems like he can't separate conservatives and Christians from each other. And so I don't think I ever watched him say I hate Christian people, but he definitely gives that vibe, like this like liberal Christian hating, communist type of guy. This is what he puts him, whether he intended to or not. This is kind of the image that he's kind of painted of himself for us. So I wonder, this will be interesting.
And I have gone to annual conference with the Methodists for the past, I think, 4 years because I have an invested interest in how the church is dealing with LGBT members, which is an ongoing thing with the Methodists. I don't hate Christians at all. I can be very critical of Christians. I don't like evangelicals. I don't like proselytizers. And usually, if I'm being critical of religious people, it's because they're using their religion as part of their online brand. And if you're like mixing money or your business with your religion, that is almost certainly like a perversion of whatever your religion is teaching. And, I don't want to get into anything. I'm not trying to like double down here with what I'm saying in this. I'm not trying to like critique people. I'm just trying to talk about where I come from with things. Because I'm realizing like a big issue with my writing is saying something and just assuming that people understand what I mean instead of actually trying to explain my point more, because I cover a lot of points in videos and sometimes.
Okay, so first, I see where he's coming from with the Christian religion stuff and money stuff. So that's kind of a based take, a little bit. And then furthermore, look at this example of growth. He understands now with his writing that he should take. Yeah, This is looking good so far. IPOS. I forget what your name is. Like Wes or something. The fuck was this guy's name? Anyway.
Sometimes I'm guilty of hitting a point really quick and then moving on. Especially because I kind of am also guilty of making a lot of my work assuming wrongly that people are familiar with my past and my like work as well. I kind of make every video, or did make every video, as a sequel to all of my previous work. And that kind of came up twice with the Bad Conservative Horror Movie video. One was an offhanded mention to Lovecraft that I talked about, where people are like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, and because I had made like a 2-hour video about Lovecraft in the past, I felt like I could just make an offhanded, like quick one sentence reference to Lovecraft and it not be a big deal and not explain it. You know what I mean? Because I just assumed people will get what I'm talking about because of that video. And another big one that came with is when I talked about race in Appalachia. A lot of people weirdly thought that I was northern or not from Appalachia. People were saying,
okay, so what he said about Appalachia was he said, okay, so for those of you who don't know, in his Bad Conservative Horror Movies video, he had said Appalachia is overwhelmingly racist. If you are a white person in Appalachia, it is safe to assume that more often than not, that white person is going to be automatically a very, very racist individual. And so that's what he was talking about. There's this huge kind of uproar where it's like, hey, you can't just say shit like that with all the work that we've done, or everyone has done, especially in this country, to not be that way. It's already kind of unraveling in the current times. I feel like all that work we put in has kind of gone to shit in a lot of ways, I feel like. And that isn't helping, to just now label all these people who might not be, who there's no real reason to suggest that, to all label them as a racist. And so that's the uproar he's talking about.
like, Appalachia sends its regards and shit like that. But like, I've lived in the Appalachian Mountains basically my whole life. And I made like a 2+ hour video explaining my complicated views of the American South with the Joanne Denton video, where I talked about how like I love North Carolina and how I've lived here my entire life and how much of an impact this place has had on me. But also to pretend that the South doesn't have a major problem with racism is like kind of insane, and I talk in that video about like the heavy Klan presence in areas of North Carolina. I talk about casual social racism and stuff like that. So like, I felt like I was okay to make a one sentence like throwaway thing because I'd already explained my position on that in the past.
Okay, so that is a way better way of saying it than the way he did in the Bad Conservative Horror Movies video. Because, hold on, your tiger might fuck with my camera right now. Because in the Bad Conservative Horror Movies video, he was like, and if you're not from Appalachia, this place is wildly racist. When you're out in public and you're a white person, it can be safe to assume that you are a racist. Versus what he's saying right now, he's like, the South has a huge problem with racism. There's a huge Klan presence in a lot of these places. You know, there's a lot of like social racism, yada yada yada, which I'm not even sure I agree with, but that's a way better way to put it than to say Appalachia as a whole is wildly racist. So that's a more like, I was gonna make a whole In Praise of Shadows video, like how not to make friends and how not to influence people. And like the first thing is like you can't just like go out and like attack people, you know, like even if you're right, you can't go on and just say like, oh, this guy's or you guys are a piece of shit. Everyone in this area is a fucking dumb retard. Like you can't do that. An easier way to put it would be like, this area is a good area, like he just did. North Carolina is a great area. However, it does seem to me that there may be a problem, a big problem with racism in the South. And here's my evidence for this, and here's how we address it. Like that is so much better of a way to put it. And like this is a like you're gonna catch more flies with honey situation. You know what I mean? Like North Carolina is a great place, love it, love it. Appalachia's great, fucking love living here. However, here are some problems that I see with the area, and I think if we all, you know, kind of put our minds together, we can improve. But that's not what he did in the original video, and so that's why he had this whole kind of uproar. And I don't know, I like that. I like seeing this kind of self reflection because that was like the huge. I was gonna make like a whole video breaking down like every little thing in his original 3-hour video, but then I was like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. But this is, I don't know, I like this. This is growth.
I don't hate Appalachians. I live here. And I have chosen to live here for a long time now. And, you know, the reaction to that in particular, I think, was really strong. And, you know, there was also a lot of criticism saying that, like, I didn't handle the situation gracefully, which I didn't. But also, I'd like to see anybody that would. You know, things got really intense there. My entire town a few weeks ago was basically destroyed from the hurricane. And, like, there were, like, tweets still 5 months later saying, well, at least In Praise of Shadows probably died in that. You know,
That's
things
brutal.
were really, really hot and uncomfortable. You didn't see the best side of me in that. And that's all that I can say is, it was a bad day for me. It was a bad period for me. You know, I was kind of made into this like cartoon character where I am impossible to get along with people who are on the right, which is actually not true at all. I know this sounds like made up, but the guy that I hired to work on the set with me for the John Waters video was wearing a Make America Great Again hat like the entire time we were working.
Based.
But
Fucking based. Let me go here. Let me go put mine on real quick.
he does a good job. And that's just the realities of living in the American South. I am not this insane person who like it's impossible to get along with. So, yeah. And with the Appalachian thing came an added commentary that I was kind of surprised about, where a lot of people said that I hate poor people or I look down on people, that I, like, hate lower income individuals, which, like, I'm a lower income individual in Appalachia. Like, I don't hate anybody like that. I don't hate anybody at all. I think that everybody should have their needs met no matter what they believe, you know.
Okay, so this is the problem. This is the problem with people like him because he is a bread tuber, and this is the problem with like a lot of bread tubers, a lot of you know, very 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 far left you know, kind of creators, is that when they talk about certain things, like in the In Praise of Shadows video, he was talking about, you know, like poor inbred people from the South. He was talking about them as if he's like out of touch. And this is what this is why I don't like a lot of bread tubers and a lot of like, you know, very left leaning creators. It's like when they talk about certain issues, it feels as if they're out of touch. And I didn't think he was looking down on those people per se, but it did seem as if he had like some amount of like contempt for him, if that makes sense. So all this started from a movie video? No, all this started, so the video was called Bad Conservative Horror Movies, but it wasn't about that. So the first like hour segment was he had went to a convention called like Mad Monster or something, and that convention was hosting Kevin Spacey as a guest, like a guest speaker, which, you know, whatever. That's kind of weird, I think, with all of Kevin's, you know, drama and past. And I don't remember Kevin Spacey being in any like horror movies that I can remember. And so like that is a critique in and of itself. But he did this like whole hour thing, just like kind of shitting on the con, which like, again, like fair enough. You know, if you want to shit on the con, that's fine. But then he started getting like upset at people who weren't covering the convention as critically as he was. And so that was like a big thing. Like, you know, maybe this guy didn't like it. And like a lot of his criticisms were valid, but it was like, it wasn't coming from a place where like, here's what I've come to expect from conventions. Here's what happened. I wasn't a fan of this. I thought this was really weird. This is not a convention I'll be going back to. All that's fair enough. He was like, I just don't understand how people wouldn't understand to put signs up to where the food is. Or this other YouTuber didn't even bother mention Kevin Spacey was going to be at this convention. And so his, what the fuck did he say? His coverage was, not as good as mine. Like that's kind of what he was doing. And he, like, poor guy, he just kind of has that kind of like holier than thou voice. And so like me watching, I don't think there was any way, even if he had like said all the criticisms in a way that I would deem, like good and proper, not that my opinion means anything, but like, even if he had done like a good and proper type, critique of the convention, I don't think I was going to like the way he said it. And I think it's just the way this guy talks. And like, there's nothing, like, I can't blame him for that. So I got to remind myself as we're watching this video here. But that's what the whole, the first video was. And so that was the first hour. The second hour was, he was talking about, Late Night with the Devil, I think. And I guess they had used some like AI generated like title cards or something in the movie. And so he spent like a considerable amount of time talking about, and I might be misremembering here. We spent, a good amount of time talking about how conservatives are promoting using AI in movies as to not pay artists or some shit like that. But like the criticisms he had in the second part, I mean, the second part was labeled bad conservative horror movies. And instead of like critiquing the horror movies, he went on to talk about how he had made a video about The Hills Have Eyes. And The Hills Have Eyes is a movie about a bunch of inbred people in the South, kind of like living in the South, and then this family has like a car breakdown or so. I've never seen the movie, but the family has like a car breakdown or something, and then the inbred people like start attacking and eating, the regular family who was just traveling through the area. And he in that video had made like a super strong connection, which I don't know. I still feel like it's a bit of a stretch, even though I haven't seen the movie. Maybe I should watch the movie. But he had said that the inbred people attacking and cannibalizing the regular people it drew a good parallel between the Native American plight and the African American plight in this country. And the inbred people eating the normal people was symbolic of the rage and oppression that white people have put on Native Americans and black people. And so he got a lot of shit for that. And so in the second part of his video, the bad conservative horror movie video, he spent a long time just like going through very valid criticism in his comment section on that video and just kind of laughing at them. Like, hold on, I'll play it for you.
I do not think
so
that
here
is an outrageous.
Also, like, this is within TOS. Dude, you can't dress like this and then also be trying to like to make a serious point. Like, you can't wear a blouse and like a leather cowboy western jacket with tassels like this and then a baseball cap and whatever chain this is. You can't wear this and then start talking about how other people's criticisms aren't valid. Anyway.
Reading of that film. It isn't even really subtext. It's just the plot of the movie. People got extremely mad at me for recapping the plot of The Hills Have Eyes. Because genuinely, if you go back and watch that video, that is all I am doing. It is a very basic reading on Wes Craven's intended message of that film based on his own words and what he put on the screen. I'm not even saying that I agree with what he told as a whole.
Okay, hold on. There we go.
Imagine watching.
So watch.
Still, I started to receive comments like this. I can't imagine watching this film and coming away with the conclusion that the cannibals are secretly the good guys, and the biggest tragedy is that they didn't eat the people passing through. He stabs him in the heart not to kill him, but to remind him of his place. Or maybe it was just to kill the cannibal who attacked him and his family. I don't know. Just my interpretation. It's edgy takes for the sake of engagement. Love this channel, but I don't think it was actually fine that these cannibals killed, raped, and ate people who just crashed their car in the wrong spot because capitalism is bad, and actually they are the good guys, is the take that I would have gone with. You can defend your home without eating people. You have an extremely warped moral compass. Class this, class that, blah blah blah. I like your videos, but the commie talk is distracting and arrogant. We side with the vacationing family because they are a down on their luck group, trying to get unstuck until they're hunted by opportunistic murders who want to eat them.
So all valid criticisms, right? All valid criticisms of what he was saying in the video. I did watch his video, and yeah, it was a stretch. It was a stretch, but like, look at how he reacts to these comments.
They're not inherently sympathetic because they're white or rich. They're sympathetic because they're the victims in the movie, not just the victims in your metatextual want for what you think the movie should be. The Carters win because good should triumph over evil. Jesus, Wes is spinning in his grave for an hour and 25 minutes. Woke Overthinking presents a woke critique of a B-movie lacking any intellectual heft. If I had a nickel for every time a horror channel assumes something in a film is an allegory or a metaphor, I'd be rich by now. So tiring. I think this dude is...
You can hear how he's like laughing while reading these. Like, that's the problem. Like, this is not how you respond to criticism.
Gay or some. He can't go a video without mentioning disrespect towards them folks. Also, the hillbillies are cannibals. How are you gonna sympathize with them? Had to stop watching at 15 minutes. I think you're viewing the film through a modern woke lens, and you're really stretching the themes to fit your personal bias. Really hard to take you seriously now. Just because you're a communist.
Did get to the point where he just like at the comments. Come on, just get to it.
Doesn't mean that every movie is about class struggle or social inequality. Holy cow, you make it sound like the cannibal rapists are the good guys. Gross, dude. Typical liberal garbage. Every time I think
you can see how this just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Garbage that takes me right out of it. So what I have gathered from this video is people who commit tragedies such as mass shootings are justified because they have been wronged by society, and society should expect innocents to suffer because of that. Oof. The overinterpretation of capitalism bad by...
This isn't all one comment either. This is like comment after comment after comment after comment after comment. And like, again, not a great way to respond to criticism. A poor way to respond to criticism is to read a shit ton of valid criticism back to 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 back, and then not like attempt to understand or even debunk it. You know what I mean?
By making the literal raped, murdered, and eaten victims into the bad guys of the movie was my cue to unsub. Sorry, bud, you lost me. You went way too off the mark. I've enjoyed several of your videos, but damn, you seem to be a bit lost in this one. Your stances just seem a bit warped. And why inject politics into a movie anatomy? Social justice? I was rolling my eyes throughout. I mean, come on, man.
There.
LOL, I've watched...
See, that's what it is. That fucking...
Come on, man.
That's not how you do it, right? And so he was getting a bunch of shit for that's how he responds to criticism. That's why he was getting a bunch of shit. And so that was the second part of the film or of the video. As you can see, it's 3 hours, 20 minutes long. And then the third part was all about Wendigoon. So it's all about Wendigoon, and basically he just like says Wendigoon's a Nazi and all of his friends are Nazis. Like, that's what it was. So that's where all this drama came from.
As far as like reviews are concerned, I am gay, and with that comes like a certain level of snobbery with like the arts and stuff like that. But because I like have high expectations of works of art does not mean that I hate poor people. Okay, I don't think that certain people should be in power.
Okay, here he goes with the stereotyping. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you're into high art and all this stuff. That'd be a lot like saying, I don't know, that not helping your case there.
I don't think that certain people should have social power. And in that, I kind of want to get into the conservative video itself. Okay, so in the like hating poor people thing, apparently I also don't like normal guys. And like the thing that's kind of funny about that is that like kind of this whole situation came about because I was a normal guy. So like I'm notoriously difficult to get a hold of. And that's because I'm not really online at all. I don't tweet. I genuinely don't spend much time on Twitter at all. I don't have any...
Okay, so he's going to say all this, but there was a 10-minute section in the Wendigoon part of his video where he was talking about how Wendigoon had followed him on Twitter, like at some point during like some sort of like drama, and he had like overthought this into thinking that like Wendigoon was like stalking his profile or something, or like conspiring against him. Like, he's gonna say he's not hardly online at all, but then when you portray all of the all of the symptoms of being terminally online, like it's hard, kind of hard to take you seriously. And then furthermore, about the normal guy things, I believe in the bad conservative horror movie videos, he said if you're anything other than being on the left, then you are a conservative person and shouldn't be allowed into horror movie spaces. Is kind of what you said. So I don't know about this one, Chief.
Any other social media. Before this, I was getting on Discord like once every like 6 months. For the most part, I'm not friends with other online content creators.
I wonder
I
why.
probably watch in between 3 and 5 YouTube videos a month. And that is not like a dig at other YouTubers. That's not saying that they don't make excellent work, because there's a lot of great work on YouTube. But like, it comes to like this thing where like, back when I used to make comics, I would draw comics all day. And the last thing I'd want to do when I finished drawing for 10 hours would be to like pick up comics and read them before I went to bed. You know, like, I didn't want my entire existence to be comics. I wanted inspiration from everywhere in my life. And so I used to watch a lot of YouTube, like back before I was a YouTuber. But then I started making videos, and I make videos all day long, and I don't want to like turn around and then like watch more YouTube videos. So like when I say I don't watch like a lot of YouTube, it's not to put down other creators, but just to try and to explain how this situation happened, because the why is kind of, self-apparent. And so when you're not an online person, but you feel compelled to write a piece about online culture, looking at it from a distance, trying to figure out what is real, it's a different kind of research. And I totally was not the guy to do that job. I felt like it was important. I felt like nobody else would do it. And I knew that the reaction was not going to be good. I knew it was going to be bad. So kind of most of my mistakes and problems came from that, though. Because like, I didn't know who Sneeko was before I made that video. And I didn't really know who he was when I posted that video. And so while it's like really serious, and I admit that, and I am sorry, I took the video down like immediately because I realized the video had major problems. But like, it also at the same time, in retrospect, is a little bit funny that I tried to be like, this guy's the fucking worst. At least, according to Hitler. And like,
Okay, I'm glad he got self-aware about that, because in the video, so what had happened, he's talking about Sneeko. So Sneeko had said that Brandon Buckingham threatened to rape Sneeko's sister. I think that's what it is, or Sneeko's girlfriend or something. And so this guy goes, Brandon Buckingham has been accused of saying he was gonna rape someone, not realizing, like you said, who Sneeko was. It's like, Sneeko, the literal worst, one of the worst people to ever walk this earth, said that Brandon Buckingham threatened to rape his sister. I don't know if that's where you want your source to come from. And so this is a good growth. He acknowledges how he is definitely not the person to be critiquing or people on the internet if the quality of research he's going to do isn't good enough to do that. So that's a solid that's a W. That's a W coming from IPOS.
like, I fucked it. I fucked it pretty bad. And there's not really a lot else I can say about it. What's done is done. I can't take it back. But also, ultimately, that's like what a whole section of YouTube is about. I may have done that really badly, but like, there are channels that just exist just to talk shit about people like all the time. And I don't want to be that guy. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not trying to escalate the situation. I'm just trying to describe my perspective of how this happened.
And you're bad at being that guy. So that's good. It's good that you realize that, because you're not that guy. You're not that guy. You're not that guy.
Because at the end of the day, everything's fine. I fucked up, but also nobody that I mentioned in that video was harmed at all. Everybody's doing fine, and that's kind of like how that genre of YouTube works anyways. The whole drama machine ultimately just exists for money, and I shouldn't have been a part of that.
Solid take, actually. That's true. That's true. The drama is inherently compelling content, and so you can make a lot of money from it. If you look at my earlier videos, I'm trying to capitalize on it as well. If you look at like the Tana was 17 video, or the sketch handled this like a champ video, or I even put my 2 cents on Chris Tyson. So, I don't really like doing that. As I came to find out, so I had a similar thing, but I also wasn't having objectively horrible takes.
I shouldn't have contributed to that. I felt like there were important points to make. I did not word them well. I had no fucking chill. I could have done pretty much everything in that better, but you live and learn. You know, I don't know what else to say. Other than I will do better, and I kind of want to get into like personal criticisms against myself now. Because I think that's a good.
So far, by the way, if we were to do this as an apology cop video, I think he never said the words "I apologize." I think he brushed it, and so I think putting it to a jury, he probably would score 50 out of 50 in the apology section. But so far, if I were to do an apology cop on this, he's scoring pretty well.
Segue. So like
He gets 0 for length though. This is too long.
with that video, there was a lot of comparison to the Dan Olson video that came out soon after mine and the H Bomber Guy plagiarism video. There was a lot of like comparing the three of us, and I think like the only commonality between those three videos is YouTubers talking about YouTubers. With two of them being good videos and one of them being like a really bad video. But people were ascribing like
I have no
saying
clue what
that
he's
I was
talking about. I
jealous,
haven't seen
and
these
that's why I was
videos.
making that video. And I just want to say I am not a jealous man.
Oh,
I was making that. People were ascribing like saying that I was jealous, and that's why I was making that video. And I just want to say I am not a jealous man, and I never have been. I have never made a single video on YouTube to chase trends. I have never made a video because someone made a popular video like that. You know, that is not the kind of guy that I am. And
I will say I did think he was quite jealous of Wendigoon's success just because of how like hard he drilled in on him, and also like how like he kind of came after who Wendigoon was and why Wendigoon has like no place to be making, videos on like horror movies or horror books or stuff like that. He had brought up that about like Blood Meridian or something. I think that's like a book, or I don't know what it is, but it's something horror-ish. And he was saying that Wendigoon, at living as a upper middle class white man, has no place making a 5-hour video on it, whereas In Praise of Shadows, this guy, does have a place doing that. And so when you say things like that, that's what made me think, oh, he's jealous of Wendigoon's success because he's jealous of what Wendigoon has. And I don't know. I'll take him out if he's saying he's not a jealous guy and he doesn't chase trends. I don't know. In the Bad Conservative Horror Movies video, he did say that the Anatomy of a Franchise videos, which is a series that he does, are the only ones that make money now, and so those are the only ones that he'll do. So it's kind of hard. Like, I don't know if that's a trend so much, but it's I don't know. I want to take him at his word that he's not a jealous person, and that video wasn't made out of jealousy, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
I never will be. I've always made what I think is interesting, what I am compelled to do, what I think is right to do. I can definitely work on my tone with critical pieces, but like I wasn't doing that video as a ripoff of somebody else's style. For better or worse, that video was authentically me. And to prove that, you can go back and watch the video on Encyclopocalypse that I did the previous summer that has like the exact same tone and wording and style and presentation of that Bad Conservative Horror Movie video. They're very, very similar. I feel like as far as critically, this was very me. If it came across as being a ripoff of somebody else, that was not the goal. I feel like that came across to some people and not to some people, but that's all I have to say on that. But similarly to the Encyclopocalypse video, I wasn't trying to ruin anybody's life. I wasn't doing this because I wanted a lot of views. In fact, I did know that people were going to hate this. You can go back on my Twitter, and like weeks before I posted it, I said, my next project people are really going to hate. If I said that people are really going to hate this, then that doesn't line up with the narrative of me doing it because I wanted to be popular. With the jealousy thing, like it feels very strange to me because to my ears, it's like critiquing the president and saying something that you don't like that the president did. And then somebody saying, well, you're just saying that because you want to be president. And like, no,
Dude, I want to be fucking president. I hate everything any president does because I think I could do it better. I'm just joking.
I don't want to be the president. Critical pieces can exist on people without them like destroying people. And I actually say that in the Bad Conservative Horror Movie video. I said with the John Squire section of that video that I don't want to ruin people's lives because of things that they've said, that I think that we should be forgiving and open to people changing. And if it was just some like...
Yeah, he says that he did say that in the video, but then also he went on this whole tirade about how Wendigoon used to be a boogaloo boy and like look how awful Wendigoon is, and it didn't say anything like that as far as Wendigoon was concerned, or Brandon Buckingham, or Oompaville, or Mutahar, or anything. And so like I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this retelling of events.
dumb things said like as an 18-year-old. Who gives a shit? Everybody said really dumb things when they were a kid, and that shouldn't be held against them. I just saw...
Not to say that I don't agree with this take. Well, people say dumb shit all the time, and we as a society should be able to say, oh my God, that was dumb, but that's not who they are. You know, I've said some dumb shit. Like at any point, as soon as I hit 100,000 subscribers, a bunch of Discord leaks are going to come out where I've said some vile, awful shit. And, you know, hopefully, you know, people like In Praise of Shadows, who would otherwise be super upset by this, you know, have that kind of like, oh, they were a fucking dumb kid. And a lot of the shit, like, it may have been vile, but it was also funny. So it's like, you know, what are you going to do? But like, that's the correct take to have. Like, people are going to say dumb stuff that doesn't necessarily represent who they are entirely as a human being. Like Justin Bieber has that video where he was like, there's going to be one less lonely N-word when I kill them because they'll be dead. So there'll be one less lonely N-word, but he didn't say N-word. He said the N-word. So like we let him walk, which it's like 16 years old. Like what are you going to do?
All things that I disagreed with from people that I felt like had a big public platform. Being critical of that doesn't mean that you want their lives to be ruined. You know, I ultimately was making that as an invitation for wanting people to do better. And if the one person who comes out of Bad Conservative Horror Movie deciding to do better is me, then that's a good thing. You know,
Solid
one
take.
of the major criticisms of me that came up a lot in that time period was related to citing sources, which I fully upfront admit I can be a lot better at. And starting from now, I will be. The John Waters video, if you go and look at it, has a full works cited in the description. Historically, I do like try and show where I get my information from, but I always tried to do it in a visual way. Historically, you know, I would say like according to Variety, and then I'd throw up a screenshot of the Variety article, you know, and post that so everybody could see the title and where I got it from, but being done in kind of a fun visual way. Clearly, people don't really like that, so I can do a full traditional like works cited where I list everything from now on.
I didn't see any sort of criticism about the works cited. I feel like if you upload a works cited, you'll be lucky if like a couple people go through and look at it. I think that was what the H Bomber guy video. What's up, Teo? Me and the OGs in the Discord should get our own role in the server in case you blow up. Yes, that's very true. I'll do that later today. Also, happy Halloween, everybody. What was I saying? It was the H Bomber guy video where I think he got mad at Justin Wang for quoting articles without getting some sort of like works cited or anything like that. So I don't know. Upload your works cited, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think H Bomber guy in his plagiarism video, he had a couple valid critiques of Internet Historian, but you know, that video caused a lot of shit for good reason, because it was like, okay, like they're fucking YouTubers, you know what I mean? Like, chill out. If you're putting according to Variety and then putting it on the screen, like that's fair. That's fine. You're good. I don't think that's a valid criticism to be like, oh, he didn't put a work cited in his video. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
You know, my entire career, I have tried to approach everything with compassion and understanding and love. And you don't have to believe that, but I hope that my track record shows that. You saw me on a really bad day. And I have tried for the past 5 months to really reckon with that and actually confront that. You know, I didn't want to put out like an apology video 2 days afterwards, because nobody learns things in 2 days. That's just reacting. It's not listening to what people say and acting. And there's a big difference there. And like everyone, I'm a work in progress. You know, I want to be the best me that I can be.
Oh, there it is. There it is. We've got our apology video cliche. We've got it. I'm still working on myself. I'm trying to be the best that I could be. Not that that's the way he said it. I think he's fully aware that he's clichéing right here, but I thought, it's funny. I love it when that happens.
And I'm not saying that to protect my money. I'm not saying that to protect my reputation. I'm saying that because it's true. And if I wanted to protect my money, or my reputation, I would have done this on like the main channel. You're only watching this if you sought this out.
Okay, also that's based. That's based. It's as if he listened to what I always say while I'm doing researching. Like when I was researching for the Apology Cop video, while I was researching for the Dan Schneider Apology Cop video, which I'm not going to go through with that one. The script is written, but I don't like it. But it's like, if you can get through a situation and say nothing and just keep going, do it. Like, the least words out of your mouth, the better. Because the people online who are going to be watching your apology video, or if you just hand it over to them, all they're going to do is pick apart every little thing, like I do in the Apology Cop videos even. Or videos, there was just one. Like I did in the Apology Cop. Like, they're just going to try to find every single thing where you fucked up on and try to say, like, oh, this was a fake apology. Why? They only exist to cut you down at the knees and then kick you once you're on the ground. Like, that's all it is. So solid. That's a solid take.
So it is what it is. People can think what they want of me. I will continue to do better. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm sorry for everything. Genuinely.
And he just scored the 50 out of 50 on the apology section, or on the apology section of the rubric.
Where I fucked up for not having any chill, for just being a kind of an asshole. So I guess that's where I'm going to leave this. I'm going to be doing more videos on here. I'm going to try and do like near weekly videos on here. I think that's kind of fun. I'm going to try and do, they won't be unscripted like this. They will be scripted, but they will be shorter form. Like, I'm aiming for like 10 to 20 minute videos on like obscure, weirder movies. A lot of them not really good movies, but interesting in their badness or amateurness, and hopefully that'll be a good time. And then for the main channel, I'm just going to focus on like really big...
Okay, I think he's done with the apology section. So I did see that Brandon Buckingham said down here, "We all forgive you. I hope you are well. And we would all love to non-ironically collab with you out in Texas." So good on Brandon Buckingham. Here's a comment. Post it on the channel no one watches, so it gets to the least reach possible. Try to make it a meta non-apology instead of a regular non-apology. Ramble, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. I think this is a solid work of apology. The only way to know if this is a real apology or not, and I'm certainly not going to be keeping up with him to check, but the only way to prove that this is a real or a fake apology is like, does he make these same mistakes in the future if met with the same amount of criticism he got for that, The Hills Have Eyes video? Does he react much the same way, and has he learned anything? And from first glance, I mean, I think this is solid. This is solid. Like, he fucked up. He acknowledges it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, in praise of shadows, it shall remain to be seen what, he does from here. I am certainly not watching a 6-hour John Waters video. But, I'm happy that he's doing it, I hope this guy finds the success he's looking for and manages, I hope he has learned from, the mistakes of the Bad Conservative Horror Movies video. He is not a drama channel. It was very clear in that Bad Conservative Horror Movies video. He is not much of a, he's not the guy who should be calling other online creators out. And I think that's what we learned. So, there's that.